Now we'll talk a little bit about minor keys. Minor keys use the same key signatures as major keys, so we can have no sharps or flats in the key signature, or we can have anywhere from 1 to 7 sharps or from 1 to 7 flats, and the key signatures are the same. They have the same sharps in the same order, they have the same flats in the same order. Take a look at what I've written up at the top of the board. I've written on the left the C major scale, and on the right I've written the A minor scale. These keys are what are called relative keys. Okay, and they are related to each other because they share the same key signature and they share the same notes. So C major has no sharps, no flats. A minor, at least in the natural minor scale, has no sharps, no flats. Many of you probably have learned to identify minor key signatures or to tell how many sharps or flats are in a key signature for a minor key simply by thinking of the relationship between the relative minor and the relative major. If I ask you what minor key has no sharps, no flats in the key signature, you say, well, the major key that has no sharps, no flats in the key signature is C major. And now if I go down a minor third from C, I find the 6th scale degree of C major, and I know that that note A is the tonic for the relative minor. Or if I ask the question a different way, if I say, what's the key signature of A minor? You would say, okay, A minor, I want to figure out what the relative major of A minor is, so I'm going to go up a minor third from A to C. That tells me that C is the relative major. C major has no sharps, no flats in the key signature. Therefore, A minor has no sharps, no flats in the key signature. Now, there's nothing wrong with thinking about the scales this way, and it may work well for you. My experience is that it's not a great system. Mostly it's not a great system because students get confused. They can't remember when they're going down a minor third and when they're going up a minor third. Sometimes they miscount the interval and they wind up moving by a diminished third or a major third instead. And sometimes instead of moving by a minor third, they move by an enharmonically equivalent interval like an augmented second. So if I say, what's the relative minor of E major? They would go down 3 half steps from E, D sharp, D, D flat, and they would say, oh, D flat is the relative minor of E major. That's not correct. It's not D flat, it's C sharp. That's the relative minor of E major. So there's a lot of possible mistakes that you can make. My recommendation to you, because you are music majors, is that you learn the minor key signatures just for what they are. You learn 8 different minor keys with from 0 to 7 flats in the key signature, and you learn another 7 minor keys with 1 to 7 sharps in the key signature. That's only 15 things that you need to be able to remember and associate. You can do that. Don't think of the minor as always being dependent on the major. Think of the minor scales as being an independent set of information and an independent type of scale that you think of not in relationship to the major scale. And my suggestion, if you're not real quick with minor keys, is that you simply drill yourself. You can get together with a partner, maybe work with flashcards, and just get to the point where it's very easy to name the minor keys for yourself. Let me just show you, and I've put this on Canvas also, in case it's helpful for you to have this information. Okay, so here's a document that lists the relative keys. We can see the key signatures going from 0 to 7 sharps, and then the key signatures going from 1 to 7 flats. The major key is named, and the minor key is named, and you can verify that the distance from the major key's tonic down to the minor key's tonic is always a minor third. C down a minor third is A. And the distance from a minor keynote to its relative major keynote is up a minor third. So G minor has the same key signature as go up a minor third, B flat major. Now let me talk to you about a relationship which I think is actually a better relationship to keep in mind. Apart from just the practicality of this sort of clunky thing of going down a minor third or up a minor third, there's not really a real strong relationship between C major and A minor. Yeah, they share the same key signature, but that's the only thing that they share. Otherwise, they're quite different. But a relationship that is important and is meaningful is the relationship between C major and C minor. Okay, and these are what are called parallel keys. Parallel keys have the same tonic note, and they also share 3 other notes of the scale. So they have the same do, the same re, the same fa, and the same sol. But some of the notes are different. Specifically, the scale degrees 3, 6, and 7 are always lower in the parallel minor. So you can predict that whatever your major key is that starts on a note, if you write out the major key for that note, then the minor key that's on the same note is going to have a scale degree 3 that's a half step lower, a scale degree 6 that's a half step lower, and a scale degree 7 that's a half step lower. This relationship, and specifically these scale degrees that change, do have musical importance and musical meaning. Think about it. If we were to have the harmonic minor scale on C, okay, that would be C, D, E flat, F, G. So the tonic triad is C minor. Then we'd have A flat, and the thing that makes it a harmonic minor scale is that it has a B natural. The B natural is there because it's essentially borrowed from the parallel major. This is the B natural from C major. So it's helpful to know that C minor is closely related to C major, because that explains where this leading tone comes from and why, if we were in the key of C minor, we might want to use a B natural as a leading tone, especially for our harmonies or for our chords. We might want to do that. And if we were to have the melodic minor scale, it would still have the E flat, so we'd still have that C minor triad, but now we would have the A natural and the B natural and the C, so that the upper tetrachord would be the same as the upper tetrachord of C major. Musically, the relationship between the major scale and the minor scale is pretty meaningful. So let me show you a different chart, and I will also put this chart on Canvas. Here's a chart of parallel keys. We were talking here about C major and C minor. These are parallel keys that have the same tonic, and they have different key signatures. C major has no sharps or flats. C minor has 3 flats. As we gradually add sharps, we go from C major to G major to D to A, etc., ending up on F sharp major and C sharp major. The parallel minors, we start taking away flats. So G minor has 2 flats, D minor has 1 flat, A minor has no flats or sharps. And then as we keep going, we add sharps. So eventually we get to F sharp minor with 3 sharps and C sharp minor with 4 sharps. That's 3 less than C sharp major, which has 7 sharps. The next 3 minor keys, G sharp minor, D sharp minor, and A sharp minor, which have 5, 6, and 7 sharps, actually don't have any parallel major keys. There's not really a key of G sharp major or D sharp major or A sharp major. Well, there is, at least theoretically, but they would have double sharps. Let's keep it simple for this class and just say that there are no parallel major keys for those minor keys. On the other hand, if we go in the other direction and we start adding flats, the parallel keys are always going to have more flats. So F major has 1 flat, F minor has 4 flats. E flat major has 3 flats, E flat minor has 6 flats. When we get to D flat major, G flat major, and C flat major, there are no parallel minor keys, or at least there are no parallel minor keys that we'll talk about in this class. We're not going to do keys that have double flats in the key signature, you'll be happy to know. And the note down here at the bottom says parallel major and minor keys, for instance, A major and A minor, appear across from each other. The difference in their key signatures is always 3 sharps and or flats, because the 3rd, 6th, and 7th scale degree are a semitone lower in the parallel minor key. And here in the middle, where we have major keys with 1 and 2 sharps, the parallel minors, we have to both take away sharps and add flats. So the difference is still 3. In D major, we take away 2 sharps and we add 1 flat for the minor key. I'll share with you one more diagram from the Ralph Turek Elements of Music. This is showing you something about parallel keys. He's picked out 3 keys to show you the parallel major and minor: F major and F minor, A major and A minor, and G major and G minor. And with these minor keys, we're talking about the natural minor, the scale that uses the notes of the key signature with no accidentals. When we're in a flat key area, the parallel minor key will have 3 flats added. When we're in the realm of sharp keys, the parallel minor will have 3 sharps taken away. When we're in the keys that have a small number of sharps, 1 sharp or 2 sharps, to make a difference of 3 sharps or flats in the key signature, we have to, in this case, take away 1 sharp and add 2 flats to get the key signature of G minor. Here's another thing that may help you deal with both major key signatures and minor key signatures. When you have 2 major keys that are a chromatic half step apart or an augmented unison apart, that is when they have the same letter name but a different accidental, like C and C sharp, or A and A flat. In those cases, the number of flats in one key and the number of sharps in the other key are going to add up to 7, and this is consistently true. The same thing is also true of minor keys that are a chromatic half step apart, like F minor and F sharp minor. If you think about it, let's take that case of F minor and F sharp minor. F minor has 4 flats in it. When you raise every note by a half step so that you're starting on F sharp, now the notes that were natural become sharp notes, and the notes that were flats become natural notes. So now those 4 notes, A flat, B flat, D flat, E flat, are natural, and the other 3 notes, F, G, and C, those are sharp notes. Take a look at my 2 charts here. Here you can see pairs of flat keys, flat major keys, and sharp major keys. And the number of flats on the one hand and the number of sharps on the other hand always add up to 7. Over here you see the same thing with minor keys. Now it's A minor that has no flats and A sharp minor that has 7 sharps. G minor that has 2 flats and G sharp minor that has 5 sharps. If that's helpful in beginning to memorize and figure out your major key signatures and your minor key signatures, please use it. Please learn your key signatures if you don't already know them. And by learn them, I mean learn them so quickly that you can just rattle them off without stopping to think about it. You should have instant familiarity with them, the same way that when you see the face of a friend, you can come up with the name of that friend. There shouldn't be any counting, there shouldn't be any Let's think, flying birds enjoy a delightful green country. You should just know your key signatures. If you're a music major, this should be part of your, part of your absolute knowledge base that you can count on. Same way that if you were a French major, you would know how to conjugate irregular verbs in French. That does it for Chapter C. There will be a 6th lecture that quickly goes over some elements of the homework, but this is all that I have to say to you as far as covering what's actually in the chapter.